Welcome to our Daily Portion with WIT Ministries. My name is Matt Russell, and I'm the Ministry Director with WIT Ministries. For more information about our ministry, you can visit our website at pursuitfortruth.com. That is pursuitfortruth, all spelled out, .com. And today's portion is Genesis 19, the doom of Sodom. Now, the two angels came to Sodom in the evening as Lot was sitting on the gate of Sodom. Then when Lot saw them, he rose to meet them and bowed down with his face to the ground. And he said, "Now behold, my lords, please turn aside into your servant's house and spend the night and wash your feet. Then you may rise early and go on your way." They said, however, "No, but we shall spend the night in the square." Yet he urged them strongly, so they turned aside to him and entered his house. And he prepared a feast for them and baked unleavened bread, and they ate. Before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, surrounded the house, both young and old, all the people from every quarter, and they called to Lot and said to him, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us that we may have relations with them." But Lot went out to them at the doorway and shut the door behind him and said, "Please, my brothers, do not act wickedly. Now behold, I have two daughters who have not had relations with man. Please let me bring them out to you and do to them whatever you like. Only do nothing to these men, inasmuch as they have come under the shelter of my roof." But they said, "Stand aside." Furthermore, they said, "This one came in as an alien and already he's acting like a judge. Now we will treat you worse than them." So they pressed hard against Lot and came near to break the door. But the men reached out their hands and brought Lot into the house with them and shut the door. They struck the men who were at the doorway of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they wearied themselves trying to find the doorway. Then the two men said to Lot, "Whom else have you here? A son-in-law and your sons and your daughters and whomever you have in the city. Bring them out of the place. For we are about to destroy this place, because their outcry has become so great before the Lord that the Lord has sent us to destroy it." Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law who were to marry his daughters and said, "Go, get out of this place, for the Lord will destroy the city." But he appeared to his son-in-laws to be jesting. When morning dawned, the angels urged Lot, saying, "Up, take your wife and your two daughters who are here, or you will be swept away in the punishment of the city." But he hesitated. So the men seized his hand and the hand of his wife and the hand of his two daughters, for the compassion of the Lord was upon him. And they brought him out and put him outside the city. When they had brought them outside, one said, "Escape for your life. Do not look behind you and do not stay anywhere in the valley. Escape to the mountains, or you will be swept away." But Lot said to them, "Oh no, my lords. Now behold, your servant has found favor in your sight, and you have magnified your loving kindness, which you have shown me by saving my life. But I cannot escape to the mountains, for the disaster will overtake me, and I will die. Now behold, this town is near enough to flee to, and it is small. Please let me escape there. Is it not small? That my life may be saved." He said to them, "Behold, I grant you this request also, not to overthrow the town of which you have spoken. Hurry, escape there, for I cannot do anything until you arrive there." Therefore the name of the town was called Zoar. The sun had risen over the earth when Lot came to Zoar. Then the Lord rained on Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities and all the valley and all the inhabitants of the cities and what grew on the ground. But his wife, from behind him, looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. Now Abraham rose early in the morning and went to the place where he had stood before the Lord. And he looked down toward Sodom and Gomorrah and toward all the land of the valley, and he saw, and behold, the smoke of the land ascended like the smoke of a furnace. Thus it came about, when God destroyed the cities of the valley, that God remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities in which Lot lived. Lot is debased. Lot went up from Zoar and stayed in the mountains, and his two daughters with him. For he was afraid to stay in Zoar, and he stayed in a cave, he and his two daughters. Then the firstborn said to the younger, "Our father is old, and there is not a man on earth to come into us after the manner of the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and let us lie with him, that we may preserve our family through our father." So they made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn went in and lay with their father, and he did not know when she lay down or when she arose. On the following day, the firstborn said to the younger, "Behold, I lay last night with my father. Let us make him drink wine tonight also. Then you go in and lie with him, that we may preserve our family through our father." So they made their father drink wine that night also, and the younger arose and lay with him, and he did not know when she lay down or when she arose. Thus, both the daughters of Lot were with child by their father. The firstborn bore a son and called his name Moab. He is the father of the Moabites to this day. As for the younger, she also bore a son and called his name Ben-Ami. He is the father of the sons of Ammon to this day. So this is the follow-up from the last episode where God was talking with Abraham, and Abraham's haggling with him to say, if you find 50 people, if you find 45, if you find 40, he's just trying to ask, if you find anyone who's righteous within the city, are you going to still destroy the righteous with the wicked? God said he wouldn't. He would spare the righteous. So when this is those people that were the men that were coming by that Abraham already served, now you discover they were angels. They're angels of the Lord coming through. And Lot is trying to serve them just like Abraham did. But Lot knows the wickedness that's around him. So he's already aware of his surroundings, yet he's not leaving. He was afraid to stay in Zoar, so he stayed in the caves. But he didn't leave Sodom and Gomorrah. He saw the wickedness all around him, and he knew. In fact, he knew to this point. He saw that these men, everyone, it says, everyone from every quarter of the city, all of the men and boys were at Lot's house trying to get at these two new men that they saw go into his house. Two new men, and all that wickedness just awakened and wanted to basically sexually abuse those men who came in. Now, Lot is protecting the men, and he said, no, why don't you take my daughters? Now, Lot would not have just offered up his daughters. He would not just throw his daughters out before the wolves. But he knew he's giving these men the opportunity to choose. Take my daughters. Because even though they were betrothed to someone else, they were virgins. And if they were to take them, they would have to then marry them. But he's offering up. Make the right choice. Don't do this wicked thing. Choose righteousness. And the people refused. And he knew they would refuse. So we see God bargaining, or really it's Abraham haggling with God, and we see the result. We see Lot trying to bargain with the people of the city, the wicked, and he doesn't win out. So they got to escape, and they were protected. So of all the people of Sodom and Gomorrah, the people that God found to be righteous, he gave them a way out, because that's what Abraham said. So to honor Abraham, he didn't destroy the righteous with the wicked, but he did give choice, and he said, don't look back. So obedience to what God tells you, not partial obedience, not I'm going to pick and choose my obedience. It is obedience. If you choose outside of obedience and you do it knowingly, it's wicked. It's wickedness. You've been offered a way out. You've been offered a solution that is righteous, but you still choose wickedness by choosing to take anything other than radical obedience to what God called you to do. So Lot's wife looked back, and the consequence was given to her that was promised. God is merciful. He said up front, if you do this, this will be the result. If you do this, then this will be the result. We have been told in our lives, if you live a life of sin, then you will spend an eternity in hell. If you live a life of sin, then you are choosing the world over Jesus. The Bible does not say, choose Jesus and then follow the world. Jesus himself said, if you're going to follow me, you have to give up all of that. You have to give up the world. And he knows that those things that we just can't let go of are going to be the crux, the thing that's going to hurt us. And the enemy also knows those things that we won't let go of are the things that they can use to influence us. The Bible doesn't say just because you say that you're a follower of Christ that you're saved. You must believe it in your heart and profess it with your mouth. If you do that authentically, then there will be a change in your life. Your life will not look the same as it did before. If you truly make that declaration, there are going to be parts of your life that are going to have to change. Now, going back to the story with Lot's daughters. This is one of the stories, by the way, that people who are saying the Bible is full of filth and nastiness, this is one of those stories. So they're justifying giving our teenagers, our children in school, filthy, nasty, disgusting, vulgar things because of a story like that. Yes, the story in the Bible, it's gross. It's not right. Getting their father drunk so that they could lie down with them, and then they're pregnant. Father and son, incest. Father and daughter. That's not okay. It doesn't make it right. But it's not graphic. It's not vulgar. It's not going into details like the books that they're trying to justify giving to our children. That was a freebie. That was a side note. But with this, you see that their sin results in the Moabites and Ammonites. So now we've had established from Abraham the Ishmaelites, you've got the Edomites, the Moabites, and from Abraham's lineage, because Lot is a nephew, but Lot brings Moab and Ammonites. So you've got the Moabites and the Ammonites. These are all enemies to God's people. But they are all related in blood back to the original source. So even though in our lives, our family may be raised by the same parents, go to the same church, it doesn't matter. Each individual has to choose, how am I going to follow? If Jesus looks at the fruit in my life, is he going to see a true disciple of his? When the Father looks down over my life, is he going to see actions and words that are worthy of the sacrifice that he gave of his only son so that we could live in eternity in heaven? So we need to search and make sure that it's obedience, not because we earn anything through obedience. Well, ultimately, you earn a better place in heaven, but it's not going to keep you from heaven. But obedience is a result of truly being saved and following Christ. When the fruit doesn't line up, you really got to check the roots. So, Father, thank you for this story. Thank you for the example that you gave us, and that we have to choose righteousness over wickedness. And Father, also thank you for the warning that we should not surround ourselves with vipers, thinking that it won't affect us. We must find your path, your guidance, your direction, and where we should live, because there are consequences to the people that we choose to surround ourselves with. Father, I pray that you could really show us your truth in the relationships that we have in our lives, and those that we should be wary of and we should keep at a distance, and those that we should really pull closer to our lives. So thank you. We love you. In Jesus' name, amen.